Sorry, you guys.
We didn't start recording, did we?
We're on.
I just heard recording in progress. Good afternoon. The time is 5:26 in the evening or afternoon, and I would like to call the February 26th meeting of the Norwalk Police Commission to order. We have a quorum with Commissioner Fran Collier Clemens, Commissioner Tony Lopez, Commissioner Nate Sumter, and Mayor Harry Rilling. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of January 22nd, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I move approval of the minutes for that date.
Okay, are there any corrections, deletions, or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, public comment. Do we have anybody wishing to address the Police Commission?
We do not.
Okay. We'll close public session. Next item is recognition of officers of the month.
Yes, Mayor Rilling. The Norwalk Police Officers of the Month for January 2024 are Sergeant Ramon Tejada and Sergeant Jose Silva. They were nominated by Lieutenant Robert Zwillich for their actions on January 8, 2024. On January 8, 2024, at approximately 3 a.m., Connecticut State Police Troop G dispatch reported that troopers were attempting to stop a wrong-way driver on the Mirror Parkway traveling northbound in the southbound lanes at a high rate of speed. Troop G dispatch advised that the vehicle in question was currently in New Canaan and was traveling towards Norwalk. Assistance was requested from Norwalk Police. Sergeant Silva and Sergeant Tejada, along with patrol units, responded forthwith to Main Avenue, where the Mirror Parkway is accessible from multiple on and off ramps. Sergeant Silva and Sergeant Tejada entered the parkway and utilized proper vehicle positioning. Sergeant Tejada then had Norwalk Police Dispatch advise Troop G Dispatch that he was equipped with stop sticks and could deploy them in an attempt to stop the wrong way vehicle. Subsequently, with appropriate cover tactics, Sergeant Tejada deployed stop sticks near exit 39 in the southbound left travel lane. The wrong way vehicle struck this said stop sticks, which deflated the driver's side front tire. The vehicle then slowed and made a left turn onto the off ramp of exit 40A, where it ceased movement due to the deflation. The operator of the vehicle was taken into custody without incident by Connecticut State Police for DUI charges. Both Silva and Tejada should be commended for their actions taking regard the above listed incident. Their swift response and deployment of stop sticks resulted in a reckless and dangerous motorist being taken off the road with no injuries and minimal damage to the suspect vehicle. Should the vehicle have been allowed to continue to travel, innocent motorists would have continued to have been put in immense dangers. Based on their swift and professional actions, I have nominated both Sergeant Silva and Sergeant Tejada for Officers of the Month for January 2024. And as you can remember, Sergeant Silva and Sergeant Tejada are both recent promotions to the rank of sergeant, and they're doing a wonderful job.
Congratulations to both of them. Mayor, you muted.
No, I'm not now. I just thought I was. No, it really is just another example of police officers using their training and their skills and experience in bringing what could have been a very dangerous situation to a good resolution. I don't think I have to tell anybody that just over the weekend we had another wrong way crash in West Haven, and two young people who both graduated from Norwalk High School lost their lives. These are dangerous things, and it's absolutely to see how they handled this and put themselves in jeopardy is something that is very commendable and very remarkable. So the commissioner's comments.
I agree. When I was reading this, I couldn't help but cringe to think what the outcome was going to be, and obviously it was favorable. and it just shows, textbook play on the sergeant's use of their professionalism, and that they brought it to a resolution. It seems quickly and efficiently and effectively. So I commend both of them.
Yeah,
What
it's,
Really,
go ahead, Nate.
I was I didn't know anything about those other than seeing them on television, those stop sticks or whatever. And I was like, wow, they really work in when they're needed. And I just thought I commend those officers for a job well done.
And so do I, because, just like the incident in West Haven, it doesn't always end well. And, with no lights on the parkway and people, easily, even if you're not drunk, get confused and going either north or south and going in the wrong way. But it was just excellent work and cooperation between the state troopers and Norwalk police officers. And thank you so much, Sergeants Tejada and Silva, for your quick action.
Absolutely. Again, this could have been a totally different outcome if it hasn't been for the quick thinking and teamwork and skills of the officers involved. So our deepest congratulations.
On a small little note, just wanted a small little correction there. Left tum instead of turn. TUM instead of TURN. Chief, said on this third paragraph. I don't know how many sentences here. It's after said stop sticks, which deflated the driver's side front tire, and then the vehicle then slowed and made a left tum.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that should be turned. I see it.
Nothing big, but I caught it, so I figured.
Yeah.
Well, it shows that you're reading the material. Okay.
I got new glasses. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Next item on the agenda is patrol staffing, and that goes to, well, who's going to handle that? Because I don't see, Deputy Chief Blake is still at the Police Academy or the FBI Academy, correct?
Yes.
Good,
March
good.
15th.
Okay, so Deputy Chief Lepore is going to handle that. I saw her hand go up and volunteer.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. And welcome our new Commissioner here.
Thank you.
For our staffing and personnel management, we have a totally 180 sworn personnel as of January 31st, and there are 2 patrol officer vacancies. We have 163.75 sick days were used by sworn personnel, and we are down to 39 workman comp days that were used by sworn personnel, which it was from 1 officer who is on part-time or partial return. For investigative services, you can see for Detective Bureau activity cases for January, they had 3 residential burglaries, 5 motor vehicle, 1 robbery, 8 larceny, no assaults, 1 shooting with a victim, no shootings without victims. They had 4 death investigations, 8 IVOAs, and they had 11 other investigations opened with 2 sexual assaults. For year to date, because we're only in January, you'll see the totals are right there on the bottom. And then they opened 38 cases total in January. Another significant event for them, they had a suspect in an evading fatality, arrested and charged with manslaughter 2 and evading. And they also had a suspect charged with carrying a pistol without a permit. For special services, the activity for January, they had 34 cases opened, 16 felony arrests, 7 misdemeanor arrests, served 22 arrest warrants, and served 6 search warrants. They recovered a .22 caliber sawed-off rifle, which was hidden on Lexington Ave, and several felony arrests of suspects with warrants for narcotics, firearms, and FTA charges, as you see in their arrest warrants that they did. For our special victims unit, they had 63 cases opened. They had 1 felony arrest, 12 misdemeanor arrests, 1 arrest warrant, and 1 search warrant. They assisted Connecticut State Police and New Jersey Prosecutor's Office with serving an arrest warrant for a subject charged with fugitive from justice and child pornography, who is located in Norwalk. For our operations report on the second page, we had a total, this would be for infractions, written warnings, and summonses. We had 108 tickets issued or summonses issued for traveling too fast, 100 stop sign violations, 60 control signal violations, 32
Wow.
God bless. 13 suspended licenses, 24 no insurance, 33 cell phone violations, and 16 DUIs. As you can see down further on the bottom, we've switched over our 23 operations report, and we have 24 going, so you can see last year's also there. And then for our next, you see our detective investigative services chart, which I just went over with you for the beginning. And that is all for operations for the month of January.
Deputy Chief
you,
Lepore, I
Deputy Chief.
have a question if I may.
Sure.
Going back to where you, has there been any effort that we know about that we could inform us about? Where you have here Detective Bureau activities, significant cases where you have suspect charged with carrying a pistol without a permit. Are we able to identify where they're coming from, how they're obtaining such weapons? Any effort in that part? Or that's just not known now?
I don't know the case in particular with that. That's what
Okay.
they were charged with. I don't know
Gotcha.
if they had, if it was somebody else's firearm. Or if they had it and they just didn't have they purchased it, they had it from somebody else and they just didn't get their permit yet.
And also
Commissioner
on the
Lopez.
I'm sorry.
Every firearm that we cover gets a full ATF trace, and there's a new Connecticut state law where we do send it to the lab, and it goes through several diagnostic tests for NIBIN and other characteristics to see if it's been used in other crimes.
Okay. So it does go through yeah.
Yes, it goes through a full forensic check. We usually do DNA. We usually do our identification bureau. We'll send it to the state, and we'll take.
I was just
samples.
curious to see out of you know, if we're getting it, you know, if we're getting such obtaining information, if it's coming from various sources, one source, or if we have any of that such information that would help at least at some other level to address that.
Yes,
Yes.
understood.
So as the chief said, yes, do a trace on it,
Okay.
find out the history.
And so when you do, have there been any trend, anything that any specific trend pattern that I don't know about?
Through
that
my
you can
experience,
share?
sir, they're varied. Some are stolen
Okay.
from thefts, from cars and burglaries, and then source of firearms to the Northeast are sometimes straw purchases from down south. Straw purchases when someone buys a gun under false pretense and it makes its way up there, but straw purchases is a significant issue in illegal firearms trafficking.
Okay. And on
Any,
the
oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I just have one other question, if I may, on the operations. Can you share some thoughts with the increase from January of this year to last year? For example, we have a couple of these that have gone up, as you can see, and just wanted to see if you could have any thoughts on it or what that might mean, like the traveling too fast or something like that, January to January. I mean, we're obviously catching them.
I think it's a combination of the reorganization of the police department since January of 2023 and our manpower increases and our ability to staff traffic units.
Okay.
We've done a good job, as you've all known in the past. We've hired a lot of officers
Yep.
in the past year, promoted a lot into new positions. So we have some new leadership in different divisions within the traffic unit and community policing, where the traffic unit is within community policing. Lieutenant Pogorski, Sergeant Kalise, and Sergeant Everett are doing a great job putting the traffic units out there, and plus also the regular patrol divisions. As we see a younger police force, they're a little bit more motivated. They're out there doing a good job.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you.
any further questions? Okay, well, moving right along, we will move on to the January training report. Deputy Chief Dinho.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable commissioners. So for the month of January 2024, community policing major events. We had Three Kings Day celebration at St. Joseph's Church, Martin Luther King breakfast, commercial truck enforcement with the DMV police, community outreach at the Marvin Assisted Living, and motor vehicle street takeover safety patrol. For the stats for motor vehicle enforcement in January, we had a total motor vehicle stops, 545 stops in the 1 month. And our areas of major selective enforcement were East Avenue, Winfield Street, Connecticut Avenue, Strawberry Hill, Cranberry, Wilson, and Nursery. And the way, as every month, the way we decide where to send selective enforcement to, it's a combination of complaints that we get from the public and a compilation of data that's from the Yukon Traffic Crash Data Repository that tells us where the majority of our traffic crashes happen in Norwalk. And then we deploy our traffic enforcement unit to those locations. For the behavioral health unit, they opened 56 cases. Of those referred from outside agencies were 2. They addressed 45 cases, closed 33, and there were 16 self-initiated cases, and referred from within the police department. Of those were 38.
Hey, Deputy Chief, for Commissioner Sumter's edification, can you explain what the behavioral health unit is?
Of course, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Commissioner, what a newer unit that we have within the police department is what we had in the past was historically we would have many residents of Norwalk that would frequently continue to call the police department due to issues we could say of psychiatric in nature or that they needed other assistance. So what would happen is the police would respond. We would take them to Norwalk Hospital, and then they would be released, and it would be kind of just a kind of a revolving door, if you would, with the frequent calls to the same locations for the same thing. So what the police department has initiated is the behavioral health unit, where they now join or connect the individuals that are suffering from these needs or mental health issues with other community service providers, one of which, is the hospital and other state agencies. So what this unit has been able to do is greatly reduce the calls for repeat service to the same locations for the same individuals. They're getting extended help that they needed, and it's a very incredibly successful program.
And we have the embedded social workers working right out of the police department.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. There are, as the mayor said, embedded social workers here in the police department who work directly with the police, and we have an officer specifically assigned to the behavioral health unit. So they do often go out and make home visits and make sure that the individuals get as much resources as they can. And it greatly reduces on repeat calls for service.
Do they have something in Norwalk similar to what I've been reading with regard to depending on the call that you receive, where you send a social worker as opposed to the police, or a combination of both?
Well,
when
so
necessary.
what happens is our social workers sometimes will do follow-ups, but we like to make sure they're escorted with a police officer for their safety. So absolutely, and we do have them in here, but we don't like them to go alone, and it's specifically just for their safety. So we have an officer go with them.
Now, the other thing I noticed as you gave some of the year-end reports, are there reports that separate Black, white, or other minorities? Because I saw something in the paper recently where they had to do that, or they were doing it somewhat on the state level. And I was wondering, how is that handled in the city of Norwalk with regard to arrest or whatever?
So there are statistics that are compiled at the police department that handle exactly those type of statistics. Sorry, I repeated the same word there. So yes, we do handle that, at a department-wide level, contacts that are made, arrests, and so forth.
Commissioner Sumter, just for your knowledge, CALIA, the Commission on Law Enforcement Accreditation, requires us to do yearly reports. So I just completed the 2023 Use of Force and Arrest report, which is a quite comprehensive report, and it breaks it down by every single variable that you could imagine of encounter that we have as a organization here, date, time, shift, gender, race, type of incident. So all that data, we have very comprehensive data that's broken down into every single variable.
Is that available to the public or how is that, once you've kept it? How is that? Is it distributed or is it an in-house?
We use it for our internal reviews. And it's provided to CALIA.
You said CALIA is what?
The Commission on Law Enforcement Accreditation.
But it's not available to the public?
It's a public document, so it could be FOI'd, sir.
And it's available also to the commissioners because
Yes,
I just wondered about that with
Yes.
regard to.
I could forward it to you.
Yeah.
If you
Any further comments, questions? Continue, Deputy Chief Dinho.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Aside from that, we also have included in the packet is the training report for the month of January, with several classes being held here and at the police department and some that are online.
Commissioner, any commissioners have a question or comment?
I guess kind of a question. Are policemen required to, how do they stay up with what's going on within the city and within the state? As opposed to if they were teachers or something, they would have to be required to take some courses. Is that where all policemen have to stay abreast of what's going on? How is that done?
Yes, sir, Mr. Commissioner. So the state of Connecticut through the Police Academy requires that every officer in the state receive a certain amount of minimum hours of mandated training that's on a continuous basis. You have 3 years in which to complete your training, and then they will reissue the state of Connecticut. The Police Academy will reissue your police certification. So we are in a constant training cycle, if you will. Every officer is on a 3-year training cycle, and we stagger those. So not everybody expires at the same time. So we are constantly in a constant training cycle, and they include all updates that come from the state and from the Police Academy. And it's a very comprehensive training program. And we go above and beyond. We don't just do the state minimums. So our officers are very well rounded.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Deputy Chief Dinho for this report form. It is so helpful and it is so concise. And I like the addition that you identify whether it's a Norwalk police officer or someone from a neighboring police force. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Hey, that brings us to our administrative report, Deputy Chief Lepore.
Good evening again. Okay, for the administrative report for our grants and inspections, as you can see, with the DUI grant, we had hires for 2 officers every Friday and Saturday nights throughout the month of January. We had a total of 16 DUIs arrests for the month. We also had for our DUI, our JAG hires, which were high visibility grant hires for 2 officers. And we hired them for Friday and Saturday nights throughout the month of January also. And that was high visibility in areas like Washington Street and any like Connecticut Avenue. Our Safe Neighborhood Grant, the application is still pending and we're awaiting notification on that. We had no other grants that were expiring during the month of January. For staff inspections, our next one is scheduled for April, which will be our combined dispatch center. And again, the NPD annual report is still being compiled and organized. That should be getting done probably in the next week or two. For our crime scene unit, they fingerprinted 119 persons, 48 which were for pistol permits. They had 66 case requests for photos and crime scene photos for FOI or for court. 27 cases were processed for evidence from patrol, and 106 patrol cases were processed for camera photography downloads of crime scenes or any scenes that they've gone on. In our professional standards and accreditation, the Detective Bureau test was given on Saturday the 17th. We had 13 officers that showed up to take the test. We had 10 that passed, and the assessment center was given today on those 10, and we should have a promotion list by the end of the week with the chief's authorization on it. We are still waiting to hear from the state for the rollout of our digital evidence management system, which was supposed to be out this month, but I think they're keeping us updated and they're trying to get all the glitches out before they start rolling this out. For our body and dashboard cameras, they had no issues at this time. We still have our 10 kits that are ready for the next installation for our next set of cars. And we had 26 new requests for cases for FOI in court. For accreditation update, the CALEA yearly inspection will begin next week. And again, that will be conducted online through our Power DMS system. It will be open for inspection beginning next Wednesday and will go for 2 weeks, I believe. And then they will close it down and they will give the chief a final review. They are still completing year-end requirements that ended in for January, and they are working with the collection for the NPD annual report with our inspections officer, or grants officer. And that's all for administration.
Questions?
Yes. Deputy Chief, with regards to the 10 kits that are stocked and ready for installation of next set of cars, what's that, when is that anticipated or expected? That's the next set of cars? What's
The
the time?
next set of cars are, yep, they're expected the end of March, beginning of April. So as soon as they come in, I believe they are scheduled for like March 28th, somewhere around there. So we have them scheduled to be installed the first week of April. I believe it was with the calendar 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Thank you. Thank you for the report.
Just again for Commissioner Sumter's edification, could you explain just a little bit about the CALEA process and what it is and what the inspections required are?
Yes, absolutely. So CALEA is, it's the national level of law enforcement officers, and we're held to a higher standard for CALEA. So basically what happened was it had a bunch of lawyers, prosecutors, judges, police chiefs, they all got together and they formed this commission. And they set a set of standards together that they felt were nationally, that were acceptable nationwide. So everybody in Connecticut to somebody in Florida to Texas to California can all agree on all these standards that they have set that they feel that would make a police department held to a higher level and a more professional department. Just like a hospital or a college would be an accredited agency or accredited college, so are police departments. And we had the option of doing this. This is not, it was never mandatory before, but our chief at the time recommended that we did it because he wanted to make sure that we were very professional here. And so we have been an accredited agency since 1995, right there?
Yep.
Chief Rilling.
Yes, it's brilliant. And,
No, you know something,
all
I'm going to
of
give,
it.
I got to give credit to Chief LaBianca.
Okay,
He was the chief when we first received accreditation.
was he really?
I
Okay.
give him,
Wow.
yeah.
Nice. So, so every year we get audited. It used to be every 5 years and then it was like every 3 years. But now because everything is going electronic, we get audited. So the CALEA administration assigns us a manager that will go in and audit our records. And what we have to do is show proofs that we actually do what we say we do. and that we're held to a higher standard. So we do, like, they asked about the training. So we have mandatory training that CALIA requires us to do above and beyond what post, because we are held to the higher standard. And there's also a state level of accreditation that also mandates that we are required to do certain things. So we are not only nationally accredited, but we are also state accredited for Connecticut. And we have to make sure that we maintain this. So what they do is they come in and they audit us every year. And there are 483 files that they, and points that they have, that we have to hit every year. And they go through, and just like an audit of your accountant, they go through and they check everything. And then they meet with civilians, they meet with officers, they go out in town and they talk to residents, and they get a feel of what the department is, and that's how they write up their findings for the department. Whether we just say what we're doing, that's on file, or when they go out and they speak to the people and they get a real true confirmation of how we are professionally.
Is that CALIA? What is that abbreviation? Is it C? I mean, what is the word exactly? College something or?
No, it's the Commission for Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. That's what the abbreviation stands for.
Oh, so what is it? CALEA?
LEA.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Mayor, for what you did when you were chief, allowing that to be a part and staying
Appreciate
a
that.
part of the department.
So the next item on the agenda is tuition reimbursements. Commissioner Sumter, the Norwalk Police Department, or the city of Norwalk, will pay 50% of college expenses if an officer is attending, boy, my light goes right out if I don't move, attending college and with a job-related curriculum, and also passing grade. So Chief, you want to take us through this?
Yes, Lieutenant Galino has 4 separate reimbursements. I don't know if you want to do them individually or read one off at a time and take a vote, or just do all 4 at the end.
I think we can take them all up and vote on them as a group at the end.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, the first one is from the spring of 2022. Lieutenant Sophia Galino, Sacred Heart University, Masters of Social Work. She took Human Behavior and Social Environment. Attached to the first package is her receipt, her grades, and the commission's approval form for that course. She is asking for a reimbursement of $1,310. On the second reimbursement,
Before you go to the second, Chief, I'm sorry. Do we need a date in that little blank there, the field, January blank 2022? Is that necessary?
No.
That information is on the back page.
Okay.
It's the last page of that packet. She has it.
Got it. Thanks.
and the second request is from the fall of 2022. Sacred Heart University, Masters of Social Work. She took Social Welfare Policy 1. Attached is her receipt, her grade, and the commission's approval form. This one, I can't read the handwriting from, it's 1/2022, from January 2022. The reimbursement for this one is $1,337.50 on the second one. On the third request, Lieutenant Galino, Sacred Heart University, Masters of Social Work, Social Welfare Policy 2, spring of 2023. Attached is her receipt, her grade, which she received 3.0, and the approval form from also of January of 2022. And she's asking for reimbursement of $1,337.50. The fourth reimbursement, Lieutenant Galino, Sacred Heart University, Masters of Social Work, Assessment of Client System, fall of 2023. Attached is her course approval for receipt. And her grades. And the total reimbursement is $1,337.50.
Like to make note that Lieutenant Galino is carrying a 4.0 GPA, and
Wow. Nice.
give her a lot of
Yeah.
credit. So, are there any questions or comments other than what we just heard? Seeing none, we
My
have to move
comment would
these.
be I commend
good.
her. I just
Good.
commend her for continuing because I see she's on her way to receiving a master.
So I should have had somebody move this for discussion earlier. Can I get a motion to approve the 4 tuition reimbursements from Lieutenant Galino?
I move approval of the 4 tuition reimbursements for Lieutenant Sophia Galina in the amount of $5,322.50 cumulative.
Oh, you're fast.
I cheated.
Okay, you got your phone, right?
Yes.
Any further discussion or comment?
I'd just like to say that this is just phenomenal. I mean,
Mhm.
a 4.0 and all she does with the recruitment and training and, oh, geez, my hat's off to her.
Absolutely.
I echo the same sentiment as all the commissioners. That's a wonderful thing that she's really committed to furthering her training and education, which is really great. It shows in our professional staff.
Okay,
Your heart's in it.
thank you. Okay, all in favor?
I
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next, Chief, we have complimentary letters.
Yes, first one received a letter regarding Officer Prada. She was working a job on Wall Street during the past recent snowstorm. A gentleman had stopped and advised her that the sidewalk, the ice and snow was very dangerous for people walking on a sidewalk. Officer Prada was very kind in speaking with him, and listened to his concerns. She mentioned that she would reach out to the city department and see what she could do. His wife came back to the conservatory later that day, and the sidewalk was cleared of the ice snow, and they had even spread some ice melt along the sidewalk as well. My family and I would like to say thank you to Officer Prada and all involved that took quick action to make that happen. We appreciate all of your service members, especially in blue, for the commitment to service to our communities. Please keep up the great work and stay safe. The Collins family from Denver, Colorado. I guess they were just visiting Norwalk.
Nice, they took the time to write.
Yes, and
Yeah.
this tip actually came in through Calias. He had reached out to Calia, and I got through the Calia website.
Wow.
We're hitting all the buttons today.
Boy,
Good.
they're on the job.
Yes, and the second letter is Officer Troy Bartos, one of the newer officers. I'd say he's been on the road for maybe 14 months now. Woman took the time to handwritten note, wanted a gentleman. Him and his wife had visited Costco. When they got to Costco, his wife was unable to locate her purse. She had left, believing that she had left it at home when she told that she remembered having it at McDonald's. She went there and they were unable to locate it, so she believed it was lost or stolen. Employees at McDonald's advised her to call the Norwalk Police. Officer Troy Bartos responded and took the complaint. He was extremely professional and nice. He viewed film and was determined that my wife had the purse with her upon leaving McDonald's. By this time, I had arrived for my exam and also met Officer Bartos. My wife had told us that she was pretty sure she did not have the purse with her upon her arrival at Costco. That being the case, he was tired from his doctor's appointment, and Officer Bartos took it upon himself to go to Costco and check to see if the purse was there. Shortly after arriving home in Greenwich, he called and said that he had interviewed workers at Costco and found that one of them had actually found the purse intact in one of their carts and placed it in their safe. They responded back to Costco and recovered the purse. You can't say enough about the concern and effort Officer Bartles put out into this investigation, having been a lieutenant with the Greenwich Police Department and retiring after 31 years of service. I know good police work when I see it. You are very fortunate to have such a fine and caring officer among your ranks, and I hope he has a long and rewarding career with the Norwalk PD.
Wow.
It's really that, others, sometimes you might have a tendency to say, okay, well, I'll make my report and that'll be it. But he really did, not above and beyond, because we know we expect our officers to do everything possible. But again, he used his skills, his expertise, his training. Even though he's only been on about 14 months, he showed an investigation that could be conducted by an officer who's been on 15 or 20 years. He did a good job.
Yes, he did. Now, he's the brother to Sam Bartles, right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Excellent officer.
She taught him everything.
Just ask her.
Say that, and he'll say that too. And she holds him to a very high standard.
She does.
So just ask her, she'll tell you, right? Any further comments or discussion? Okay,
as-
I'm sorry.
The only thing I have to say, Mayor, is, and to the chief, and to the entire police department, there's a lot more going on than I could have imagined or even thought that the police department did. And I was really, as I read through a lot of the memos that was sent, for instance, that last bit, I only thought of the policemen going after the bad guys. I didn't realize that there was so much more that goes on in the Norwalk Police Department. And I'm pleased to be a part of this commission and to be able to just read some of the wonderful things that the Norwalk Police Department is doing. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the
Your
recognition. Thank you.
suggestion, and thank all of the Norwalk policemen and the chief.
Thank
You know, this is just scratching the surface, Commissioner. You'll see a lot more over the next year and a half, 2 years, 3
Yeah.
years, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're in for a very pleasant ride.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I too want to, of course, mention that the officers play a pivotal role in our image and how we look, and it's not right just about going after the bad guys. I think the community really, embraces such attitudes of really looking after people's needs. Somebody forgot their purse, somebody lost this, or the conditions with the ice, and it reflects in the people wanting to write and really share how good they felt about that, and that tells us a lot. I think that's important.
Well,
We get a lot of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, I just want to share a personal experience because I know the joy that that woman had when she got her purse back, because I was at ShopRite. Do you remember? And I lost my phone that has all my credit cards and my life in it. And I called, they told me to call the policeman, and the police officer that responded was one that we had just sworn in. And he came in. I don't think he would have done it just because I was the police commissioner, but he was able to find from their files who the person was that picked up my purse, because I dropped it in the store, went to their house and retrieved my phone and brought it to my house, all within like 3 hours. I was so happy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can be very unsettling when that happens.
Oh my gosh.
Well, okay. So the next meeting is March 18th, starting at 4:15. I think it's time for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 6:10 p.m. Thank you all, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Oh, we see you tomorrow, right?
Right?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes, that's
speaking
right.
about tomorrow, Chief, do you have a copy of those resumes?
Yeah, I'll call you as soon as I'm done.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
because
you.
I'd like to
Gotcha, of
Meet them over, so.
course.
And is there a special way in which you interview the candidates?
Hello?
We could probably discuss that. Well, I'll call you,
Thank
and we'll discuss that offline. Sir.
Okay,
Oh,
all right,
Sure.
I'll
Thank
call you in
Give me
5
some of
minutes.
that heat.
okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right.